Hello everyone, this is Gabriel.
And Corentin, and today we're going to talk to you about something. For quite some time we've been seeing this abandoned plane by the sea, which is pretty strange. So what is it? We're going to tell you about it today.
Music indeed, we see it a lot on social media, and over there it has even become a star. So what is it? A plane, a boat, and how did this thing end up abandoned on a beach? Well, we were curious about it and we did our own investigation.
And as you'll see, its story is fascinating because this plane could have literally revolutionized the world. So we're going to tell you about this little known but now abandoned invention, the Ekranoplan. Music by
This Ekranoplan is part of a large family that was mainly developed by engineers during the Cold War. But let's go back a bit to the 1960s.
At that time, we're really in the middle of the arms race between the United States and the USSR. Soviet engineers led by Rostislav Alexeyev aimed to develop a vehicle combining airplane and boat advantages. Their goal was simple, to create a craft capable of moving at very high speed just above the water, thus avoiding underwater mines and staying below radar detection.
So they started working on a seaplane specially designed to fly just above the water at very high speed. And to carry out tests on the best final shapes to use, hundreds of 1-meter scale models were created. The goal was to test them experimentally by launching them from a slide in the middle of the water. The most stable one was developed.
The first functional prototype was named the SM-1, and it was in 1966 that the KM, nicknamed the Caspian Sea Monster, was detected by American intelligence who spotted the craft in satellite photos.
And the KM model is important because it's like the predecessor of the one we're discussing today, now left abandoned on this beach. The KM was over 90 meters long, had a wingspan of about 40 meters, and could reach speeds of 500 kilometers per hour while carrying enormous loads. This monster, powered by 10 jet engines, can fly between 3 and 14 meters above sea level and can even operate in waves up to 3 meters high, so it's truly formidable.
And when we came across the test videos of this machine, we were blown away. We can honestly say the machine is monstrous, huge, and quite innovative. It goes very fast and has some real advantages, especially
when you see the loads it can carry nowadays, you'd need cruise ships or the C-300, the biggest American military plane.
I don't know, I think that's it.
At worst, you can correct us in the comments, but it was revolutionary then. It's crazy we don't hear about such projects anymore. And its big limitation indeed is that it can only be used at sea or in the ocean, but it will be unusable on land. And this project, although ambitious, will therefore have to face several challenges. The
initial tests revealed technical issues with the craft's stability and maneuverability.
In the 1980s, other Ekranoplans like the A-90 or Leonok were developed for transporting troops and military equipment.
The one left on the beach is the Lun, an Ekranoplan with cruise missiles made for fast attacks. The creation of these machines made a lasting impression, and it's easy to see why. They're impressive.
It's true that at the time, quite a few countries must have been scared to see a technological revolution coming with this model, especially since it was in the hands of the USSR.
But then, all the countries that didn't have a coastline were pretty relaxed about it.
Anyway, despite these innovations, technical issues and high costs led the Soviet army to halt the program.
Let's discuss the impressive technology of Ekranoplans. Their invention is based on the aerodynamic ground effect principle. This ground effect occurs on aircraft that fly very close to the ground, and actually, the air trapped between the wings and the ground increases lift and reduces drag. As a result, planes use much less fuel and can fly faster. So, using this aerodynamic principle, Ekranoplans float just above the ground. To better understand, it's kind of the same principle as airboats that you can see with the big propellers at the back, except instead of gliding on water, Ekranoplans fly just above it on a sort of cushion of air.
This revolutionary technology will offer several advantages that we'll list for you. First, its speed. Ekranoplans can reach speeds much higher than traditional ships, and the maximum speed recorded with one of these models was 550 kilometers per hour.
Because I've never seen a boat go 550 kilometers per hour.
Even with heavy loads, it could carry them.
Absolutely. It's also much more fuel efficient, even with 10 engines, because the ground effect greatly lowers energy use.
And as we told you, the last advantage is its load capacity. It can carry really heavy loads over very long distances.
But one of the biggest problems they faced was the design of the wings. Since the wings are nothing like those of a plane, which are usually long and thin, here they have to be short and wide to maximize this ground effect, and that was very complicated to design. If not done perfectly, stability during strong winds or big waves would be disastrous.
The KM craft, which is the big brother of the Loon, would serve as a flying laboratory for scientists until 1980 when it crashed due to a piloting error.
And as a result, the high maintenance costs and technical difficulties would lead to the abandonment of the Lun, which was left to rust in a naval base.
This base is the Kaspisk Naval Base, which is located about 100 kilometers north of the border with Azerbaijan. And this giant of the seas, once a symbol of Soviet ingenuity, has therefore become a forgotten relic in a naval base exposed to the elements. And so the project is definitively abandoned and forgotten.
But it was only 30 years later, after years of service and various tests, that the Lun was towed out of the naval base to be taken to a museum. But nothing went as planned.
Indeed. 14 hours after the journey began, the Ekranoplan got stuck on a sandbank. And unfortunately for it, it was still quite far from its final destination.
Additionally, construction of the museum it was meant for kept being delayed, 2020, 2021, 2022. No one knows what will happen next.
And putting this Ekranoplan back in the water to move it would require a colossal budget, and unfortunately no one is willing to take on the task of moving it.
And so the Ekranoplan will stay here for 5 months between land and sea, completely stuck with no one knowing what to do.
And unfortunately the sea will start to damage the Loon, and nobody wanted that, so a rescue operation will be organized and put in place. The huge machine will therefore be taken out of the sea and placed about 30 meters inland so it won't suffer from the sea's corrosion anymore. So it is temporarily saved.
But since then, the machine hasn't moved. It remains on this beach, completely abandoned, waiting for the museum to finally be built. But they haven't heard any news.
Since then, the Lun has become very popular, as we shared on social media. Many people visit to take photos in front of it. It's now a major tourist attraction, and we'd love to visit ourselves.
But why don't we go there?
Because we need 10,000 likes, like we said.
10,000 likes? What country is that in? Russia. Oh, right. Honestly, I'm down to go. If we get 10,000 likes, we'll visit that Ekranoplan ourselves. So, we were wondering about it because this machine could have literally revolutionized maritime transport. So we're going to look at the applications it could have had today. What could it have replaced? What could it have been used for in a...
First phase, it would have completely revolutionized fast maritime transport. Imagine a cargo or container ship traveling nearly as fast as airplanes, but without needing airport infrastructure. It would have been revolutionary in terms of time, pollution, and more.
Obviously, it could have had a military application by allowing for fast and discreet maritime operations, but it also could have been used for sea rescue missions or surveillance missions without being detected by radar.
Exactly, because Ekranoplans can reach areas that are inaccessible to planes or even traditional ships. They offer a unique ability to intervene in case of natural disasters. For example, floods or earthquakes.
This technology isn't widely known or discussed in the media, but several countries are already working on it and may develop it eventually. For example, some say the Pentagon is heavily investing to revive the project. Is this true or false? With the Pentagon, we can't really know. Russia is reportedly still funding this project for civilian and military transport, particularly with the Shaika 2.
And South Korea, for its part, is also showing a growing interest in these vehicles.
In any case, it seems that there are a few countries currently working on this to see if it's possible to make it a bit more stable, a bit more maneuverable, and to actually use these Ekranoplans. We'll see what the future holds, but it's...
So we hope to see the project come to life one day, and for everyone to be able to use it, for it to become normal to have Ekranoplans everywhere in our oceans. That would be absolutely crazy.
But then it's true that by combining the advantages of a boat and the advantages of a plane, in the end, you end up with the disadvantages of both. And that's why I think that we'll never see it, unfortunately. I'm sad. Unfortunately, I doubt we'll ever see this Ekranoplan fly.
Unless, not fly, but unless we go to the north of Azerbaijan.
That we could see for ourselves, and that would be very, very cool. Maybe one day we'll be able to see it with our own eyes. In any case, really, this plain boat is just impressive. We really wanted to tell you about it because it's truly an abandoned place that's really legendary, because it's there, completely huge, on the edge of the beach. And we thought it was so cool to tell you about it because its story is still very interesting. Even though we thought we would never see an Ekranoplan fly, that it would remain an abandoned plane forever on the edge of the beach, well, it turns out that some very serious projects are starting to take shape. We're not only talking about the Ekranoplan, the Russian machine that once frightened Americans, but also about Navi planes we'll soon be able to use. You probably don't know the company Aqualine, but they are indeed bringing this concept back to life. They are currently working with Alpine's Research and Development Lab using technologies from Formula 1, and this is happening in France. They are working on existing concepts as shown in the short video they shared on their network.
Traditionally, of course, we do everything for the road, but we use the capability for non-Formula 1 commercialized projects.
This vehicle is better for passenger transport, and we can already imagine taking a trip in it. The experience must be amazing. And the models that are in development could carry between 2 and 14 passengers, but there's even the question of developing some models capable of carrying up to 300 a bit like airliners. So, there you have it. We'll be following this very closely, and maybe one day we or you will travel in these Ekranoplans. That's all.
That's it for this Caspian Sea monster. We hope you enjoyed the story. We did too. Like if you did, subscribe for more, and we'll see you next week. This was Gabriel and Corentin.
Bye.